So I'm Dr. Isabel,
Dr. June?
and we are the co-founders of Isamisu. We are here with an amazing guest, Master Ko. He learned to use energy to accelerate healing through a technique called pranic healing. He's the co-author of The Power of Prana and Your Hands Can Heal You. And he has been sharing these teachings worldwide for over 30 years. He's an expert in an energy management system designed to empower people with personal development skills for greater
Right.
health and well being. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's an honor, Dr. Jin, Dr. Isabel. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And then, can you please explain a little bit more about what pranic healing is and how it differs from other energy methodologies?
Sure. The word pranic healing comes from the word prana, which is Sanskrit for life force. The Chinese call it chi, Japanese call it ki. I'm not sure how they call it in Korean. I think it's also ki of some sort. But anyway, it's the life force that flows through the universe. So when you go see an acupuncturist, they adjust the flow of this life force in your body. When you're doing exercises, you're harnessing this universal energy that pretty much affects your body, your mind, your emotions. And so what happened is my teacher, Grandmaster Twakok Sui, essentially looked at all the different healing modalities all over the world, and he noticed that there's one thing that is in common. Everybody's harnessing this universal energy. Everything from Reiki to Qigong, Tai Chi, everything, acupuncture, you're harnessing this energy, and it's just done differently. So what he did, he started doing experiments. He noticed that every ailment has a unique energy pattern. Every person that is healthy has a certain energy pattern. So at some point he came up with this system. It's just like a cookbook. So if somebody has, let's say, arthritis, there's a certain energy pattern. If there's somebody's heart problem, there's a certain energy pattern. I got into it not by choice. In fact, not even interested in anything close to this. But in 1988, my wife fell from about 14 feet. I mean, that's like 3 meters, broke her hip bone. And the doctor said, oh, it'll take 3.5 months after traction, after it got even, 3.5 months for her to be able to walk. I said, wait, that's way too long. So I was looking around. I was in the Philippines. That's when I met him, coming from Chinese descent. I said, okay, I'll be interested in this thing. Although he's Chinese, I'm Chinese, but pranic healing sounds like it's Indian. Then I realized that it's actually quite universal. So I learned the technique, did the healing on my wife 2-3 times a day. In 2 weeks, she was walking. In 5 weeks, she was running. And here's the funniest thing of all. I was doubting it the whole time because I'm an engineer by trade. So I thought this is a bunch of nonsense. How could you be affecting people without touching them? I'm an engineer and Southern Baptist. Try putting the two together. You have some idea how skeptical I was. But the fact that she walks, there must be something. And so what pranic healing essentially is a system of techniques that allow ordinary people, even with no medical background, no energy background, to be able to step by step use it to speed up the body's ability to heal itself. Now, Dr. Isabel, you were asking about how is it different than other modalities. Let me just make it really simple. All healing modalities have one purpose, which is to help humanity. And all of them have their own way of doing things. It's just that in pranic healing, since my teacher is also an engineer, he noticed that if you boil down all the processes in healing, it's only divided into two. One, cleansing, the other one, energizing. In other words, every time somebody has an ailment, either physical or emotional imbalance, there's always something that's blocking the flow of this life force. So you have two choices. Choice one, which most people do, they put more energy, which pushes it deeper. And then that's why people have reactions. So he said, well, if we just take that blockages off, right there and there, the energy body can absorb the fresh ki and life force in the environment. So that starts up the healing. Or we can speed it up even more. After we remove that block, why don't we do certain techniques to let the energy flow through us, not from us? There's a difference. That way, as the energy flow through us, we can pump more energy into the area, let the body heal faster because it has now more fuel. And the important part is, if you do it right, I can help people without draining myself because I'm not using my own energy. I'm just pulling it from everywhere. And so that's like a nutshell of what pranic healing is.
That's amazing. So
Mhm.
basically, we have to clean ourselves. It's like detoxing of that stagnant energy, and then you will also boost the energy at the same time. Or you're mainly with the pranic healing, you're mainly cleaning those
It's both.
stagnant both.
Mm.
It's both because if you think about it, when a person is going through any kind of pain, difficulty, any health challenges, well, if the energy is flowing, that means the organs, the body, the emotions, the thoughts should be flowing smoothly and have enough energy to maintain itself. So there must be something that's not allowing that to happen. I mean, it's as simple if somebody has an infection, let's say the viral infection or bacterial infection, the same process is happening. Until you remove that infection, that bacterial or viral infection, the body can't heal. So, but if you do whatever you're doing, anything from medicine to breathing to meditation, whatever it is, to somehow kick those things out, which is cleansing, now the body can absorb this life force. Or when acupuncturists or herbalists take herbs, the herbs first remove whatever that's obstructing it, allowing the body to recharge itself. So we're back to cleansing and recharging.
Perfect.
Yes, I think that my background is traditional Chinese medicine. So what you were saying so resonates. Absolutely, that's brilliant. That for example, right? So there's two different expression or the heat, expression. Some people have the excess heat. We need to remove them. But then there's called deficient heat. You wanted to encourage that those cold energy to rebalancing. That's a tonifying, right?
Hmm.
So we have to looking at what will the condition, what patterns involved. So in that those every ailment has a unique different patterns. So would you tell us expand this idea of what those patterns, how you can identify those patterns, in the uniqueness?
Well, Dr. Jun, it's interesting you said that you have a background in Oriental medicine because most people think that the Hindu system and the Chinese system are different. They're separate. But in reality, it's the same body. It's just different terms. So the way we were taught is you have major chakras. These energy centers are actually acupuncture points. And people don't realize that. They think, well, one is a point, one is described as a flower. But if you take a flower, it has a stem. It has a stem that connects to like a stalk that connects to wherever it's connected to. So an acupuncturist would look at the originating point and look at it from this view. Oh, I see the point. In pranic healing, we see the whole flower. That's why when you're, forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, but based on the acupuncturists that I talk to, if they want to reduce or remove excess heat, excess energy, they will twirl the needle anti-clockwise or counterclockwise. If they want to
Right.
tonify, put energy, they go clockwise. Well, guess what? When
Yes.
we're cleaning, we move our hands counterclockwise to remove the blockage. If you want to put
Oh,
energy in, we go clockwise. Because you're working in the same center, it's just different perception. Now, as far as
right.
pattern is concerned, just like in acupuncture and other traditions, if a person has a particular ailment, there are certain points that need to be treated. In pranic healing, we work with the 11 major chakras. Just imagine you have 11 major generators connecting to hundreds of sub-generators. So all of them are acupuncture points. It's just that we simplified and say, okay, these are the major energy generators, because when we work on these, it will affect the smaller ones. It's just like you affect the state, you will affect the city, the county, and the and the little streets underneath it. So, for example, if somebody has asthma, for example, or you have COVID, some COVID or any respiratory issue, the energy centers that are affected are what you call the ajna. Okay, I think in Chinese, intang, if I'm not mistaken. All right,
Right.
so this affects the nose, the throat chakra, which affects the air channel, the heart chakra, which affects the lungs, the solar plexus, which affects the diaphragm. So if I take somebody who has no background energy work, I just say, hey, you, sit down. Okay, these are the areas you do this, and then after you do this, do some breathing. Even somebody who have absolutely no idea what they're doing, if they were able to remove the right blockages from the right place and put enough energy, that body they're working on now has more energy than they did before. Now there's a ability for it to be able to fight that infection and be able to heal faster, because you have someone who has now given them the ability for that body to recharge itself faster. So if you have asthma, you have bronchitis, you have any type of respiratory issues, if I take 1,000 people, all with respiratory problems with nothing else, I can take anyone with no background and say, hey, you, see these 1,000 people, 5,000 people? These are the areas you work on. It's just like a cookbook. You want to cook pasta, you want to cook chow mein, follow this. And I think that's the beauty of it, because it gives power back to the people. It
And
gives
that's
people
what
think,
we're
right?
yes, that's what we're excited about. Because so can people like increase their own prana? Can they do their own treatment, for example?
Yes.
How can you increase the prana on yourself, for example?
Well, you have self-healing. So, for example, the simplest one is, let's say a person's stressed out. It doesn't even have to be any ailment. Let's say you had a stressful day, somebody screamed and yelled at you, and you feel nauseated. So this is your sternum. Below it is the solar plexus center. So that's where you feel the stress energy. We teach people, okay, you're stressed out. You take your hand. Just like if there's a lump of mud, you just take that mud, you throw it away. Just imagine there's a lump of stress energy there, which is like a gray cloud. You just go 1, 2, 3, 4, throw it in salt water. Salt water is used to break up negative energy. We go like this. After about 20 sweeps, people go, they go, how'd that work? Because all we did was remove that stress energy. Now, if you have somebody who knows how to use needles or use other form of technique, they will do the same thing. They will have the same effect, just a different way of doing it. So it's a matter of making it so simple that anybody who have some form of skill in following steps can do it.
That's so. I'm so fascinated with your technique. These healing modalities. Really, I wanted to emphasize to everybody, simple step. Really make the really complex system, the Chinese or prana or Ayurvedic system. We got thousands years of history. People think it's a very complex system, but yet make it into the simple form and applicable. Right. This is brilliant. So anybody can use it to promote the healing. So, but thank you so much for introducing those technique, right? Dr. Master Ko, you mentioned about the emotion that solves the relationship with energy and how you stagnate. So could you kind of relate to this topics, how the emotion that solves how you block the energy? Yeah.
Okay, I think one of the biggest breakthroughs, in my opinion, that my teacher had was everything in the universe is made of energy. The only difference is the frequency. So if you have your physical body, it's energy, but it's very dense. Then, if you think about it, your emotions are also made of energy, but they're less dense. That's why most people, you can't see it. Your thoughts are also made of energy, but they're even less dense. And spirituality or spiritual energy is even more refined or high frequency. So every time you get angry, you're upset, you're happy, you're generating these energies. In fact, what I usually have people do in our experiments, if I can ask both of you to join me, it's as simple as this. If you rub your hands together to make it experiential, okay, just press the center of your palm. I apologize, I don't know the name of this point in your hand. There's point here and point here.
We just at the heart 8.
Okay, we just call it hand chakra. Just for everyday people like me who don't know the details. Okay, so we do this to stimulate. You notice people who do Qigong, Tai Chi, they do that too, all right? It's to stimulate. So put your hand like this. Now keep your tongue on your palate to allow that flow of the microcosmic orbit. Then keep your tongue on your palate, focus on your palms. Now just imagine light coming into your hands. Inhale that light. Hold it. Exhale it out of your hands. Inhale again. Exhale that light out of your hands. One more time. Inhale and exhale. All right. That's just about 3 simple breaths. Now, depending on your sensitivity, if you go like this, can either one of you feel any sensation in your hand?
Oh, it's heavy.
Like a something, right? Okay. Just put your hand like this. All right. Relax. Keep the armpits open to keep the channels open. And then what we tell people is just imagine you have a cloud. And I want you to allow that cloud to expand a little bit and just gently compress that cloud. Expand it, compress it. The reason we use a cloud so that people don't use their will, they're just using sensitivity. And if you do this, you might feel a strange sensation in your hand.
Mhm.
Okay? Now, to take it one step further, if you take one finger, I think if you're in acupuncture, you know this, using energy, right? So if you go like this without touching, if you just simply rotate it,
Wow.
you feel the energy. Now you go like this, two hands, and what I usually do to make people realize this energy is everywhere. Okay, you're in Seattle, right? Okay, open your hand like this. Okay, I'm in Southern California. Let's see if you feel something. So I know you could feel something. I've done this thousands of times. Okay, please put your
Yes.
hands down. So what we tell people is, look, energy is everywhere. And people always say, "Oh yeah, I believe in oneness." You really believe in oneness? Then you should have no doubt this works. And so oneness is simply because we swim in this ocean of energy. And so when a person gets angry, upset, they're producing this energy but in different vibrations. So to prove it to everyone, if I can ask both of you, please, doctors, to put your hand like this again.
Mhm.
Okay. So go like this. It feels the same, right? Now look at one hand and verbally, I want you to verbally say to your hand the word anger 5 times. Go. Anger, anger,
Yeah.
anger, anger, anger. Okay?
Okay.
Now the other hand say happiness 5 times. Happiness, happiness,
Yes.
happiness,
Happy-
happiness,
happiness.
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 Right.
Happiness.
Compare sensations.
It is heavy.
Mhm.
Now, the real magic is this. Follow me? Now compare.
They're light.
Exactly. So whether
Yeah.
you're angry, you're sad, you're happy, all of these are just nothing more than different frequencies of energy. Now, if we understand that at any given time, if we look at what's going on in our life and understand that the I is producing these thoughts and emotions, we can choose to produce happiness, not anger. And that is the extension and also the connection between healing and spirituality, because you cannot really separate the two, because it's the soul and the spirit that is producing these emotions. So if somebody has physical ailments, oftentimes that physical ailment is accompanied by anger, despair, frustration. So if you just treat the body, it's not going to last because the negative emotion is constantly blocking it. If you just treat the emotions, it's not going to last either because there's already physicalized damage. So that's why we always believe in integrated approach, and everybody has something good to offer. Everything from the naturopath to the acupuncturist to the doctor, the healer, to the spiritual practitioner. We believe in the holistic approach, or just like I believe you do too, that you treat the entire being, not just the symptom. So I hope that
Correct.
helps.
I love that because I do Reiki, but I love that the fact that you remove something from the body and then you boost it. Reiki, we do a lot of boosting
Mhm.
and finding where is the weak spot, but it's just incredible. So, can you please show us a good way for people to maybe remove those blockages and then boosting themselves?
A simple
The
way
energy.
I can think of right now, because normally we need more room. But one thing
Yeah.
we can do is we call this general sweeping. Like you're sweeping the floor, and
Yes.
the way you do it, this is more advanced. It's not part of level one. We can use colors. It's interesting that if you approach a qigong or tai chi master, the fact that you tell them, "Oh, you can project chi out of your body," they won't teach you that until you've been with a teacher for many years. Chinese people have this crazy idea that everything's kept secret. I know, because when I started learning martial arts before, I've been doing for like 3, 4 weeks ago. Teacher, what I'm doing? Don't ask, just practice. So everything is kept secret until the teachings die with the teacher. So I remember many years ago, my teacher was teaching about pranic healing, the more advanced technique where you project color. And we had a qigong master come, visit us, and he told my teacher, says, "Don't teach this. This is secret." My teacher just said, "Okay." In the Japanese tradition, you say hi, But hi
Right?
doesn't only means I agree with you. Hi is I heard you. I'm listening. He goes, hi. He says, yes, yes. After the Qigong master left, my teacher looked at me and goes, forget it. Don't follow him. If all these teachings are kept secret, how is it going to help humanity? So I'm sharing that with you
Exactly.
because in energy, for example, in Reiki, because I have a lot of students who practice Reiki masters, they basically, this Rei is what the Chinese call Ling, which is soul, so spiritual energy. And
Yeah.
this energy, oftentimes it says, it's often described like in acupuncture as invisible. But in reality, it's only invisible if your faculty is not that open. But if you turn the lights down, I can take 100 people, turn the lights down, people see the light around the head and all these things, right? And then if you dive a little deeper, this so-called white light is actually composed of different frequencies. And the color green has cleansing effect, just like you eat sushi and sashimi, you have wasabi. People use sage and sandalwood to purify their space. That's green energy. That's why it works. If you turn the lights down and have a white background, you light sandalwood, you have a child, look at the smoke, most children will see, oh, how come I see a little green lights? Because they have not been deprogrammed yet. Everybody could see energy when they're young. That's why you hear kids go, yeah, I have an imaginary friend. They're not so imaginary as you think. It's energy. So I'm sharing this with you to give you the context that different colors have different effects. So green energy has cleansing effect. Red energy is warm, it energizes. Violet energy is spiritual energy. That's why some of you, when you're meditating or praying, some of you see violet energy. So
Yeah.
these different frequencies have different purposes. So Dr. Isabel, as you asked me this, now people have a better context of what these colors do. Now we'll introduce a technique. Otherwise, if I just say do this, you're gonna go, what for? So the way we do it simply is to imagine that your hand has a white glove with a green edge, or just the whole thing light green. And the way we do it, let's say you come home, you're stressed out of your mind, you just imagine you have this big green glove of light, and you just do slow sweeping like this with the intention of removing any stress energy like gray clouds, like this, down. If you feel a stress energy, just let the green energy break it up and then push it down into the earth. And then you do left side, right side. That's what we do in our introductory classes, because people say, "Whoa, I just came to this class. I'm stressed out of my mind." Say, "Okay, everybody stand up. We have them do this." By the time we're done, people are like, "It looked like they smoked something," because it's so relaxed. So that gives you an idea. They can do it on themselves in the front. Now the question people ask is, "How do I work on my back?" Same thing. All you have to do is imagine you're looking at your own back. However, most healing modalities will say when you visualize, you have to visualize things clearly. Well, I don't know about you. I don't know what my back looks like. So it's not the image that has to be clear, but the intention.
Oh, I love it.
So the way we clarify the intention is I visualize kind of what my back would look like, and all I do is repeat my own name. So if I repeat my own name, my intention is clear, that's my back. And I just go like this. And most people, if they have minor back pain, stress, just by doing this self-cleansing before they go to bed, sleep like a baby. So that's just ultra easy for everybody. Of course, depending how much you want to know, you can dive deeper. I hope that helps.
Correct. No, very
Yes.
helpful. Thank you so much. And Qigong, they use that sweeping modality as well. They
Yes.
do a lot of cleansing of
Yes.
that energy, the aura.
Yes.
Do you have all these people who has different type of illness, disease? This it could be emotional, could be physical, many different patterns. They'll visit you or come to you and say, "Doc, Master Cole, please help me." What type of illness or disease that you have seen that have been so powerful? I'm sure that you can treat any type of problem, because we're all about the energy of stagnation. So, but what you have seen in your practice, in the past that are something that you can share, this profound shift and changes for the people besides your wives.
Oh, wow. I work on thousands of cases. Let me think of some.
Right.
One thing I can tell you that hits close to home is our daughter, our second daughter, was diagnosed with autism at 4 years old, and that was devastating because you feel so helpless. And I remember I asked my teacher about it, and there was no protocol. See, in panicking, everything has a protocol or a recipe. So I asked my teacher. I said, "There's no protocol because he's not worked on any autism cases before. Because that's how he came up with the protocols, is because he's worked on hundreds of cases and say, oh, I see a similarity or a pattern. So our daughter became the first one she tried it on. He tried it. So he starts scanning, you can feel the energy. He says, okay, this energy center is blocked. This one is flowing. This is overstimulated. So he did the healing on her 6 times. I remember that. And he gave me the protocol. So I'm supposed to do this every night. And because of distant healing, even though I'm traveling, I was doing it every night. Make a long story short, within the first 2-3 weeks, we're already seeing massive improvement. And she's already doing other therapies like speech therapy and occupational, because again, we always believe in throwing everything at it, right? Make a long story short, in 6 years' time, the doctor literally said she's cured. And right now she's in second year college and she's teaching 300 students, and she's top of her class. So I saw it with my own eyes. Now, nothing that dramatic would be when people come in, they have back pain. I can literally, in our classes, we take anyone who just took the class and say, okay, back pain, these are the energy centers that blocked. Why don't you do 50 sweeping techniques, project light, towards that area, stabilize it, repeat it 3 times. Pretty much 90% of people in the class can help someone as simple as back pain. So it's hard for me to really name. We've had cases where, okay, this is going to be the wild one. This one,
Yes, please.
I did not expect this to happen. We had one person come in. Actually, this lady and her boyfriend came in after my class for healing. It was because the boyfriend has back pain. So I stand up, did this. How do you feel? Oh, no more pain. And she comes up to me. She goes, me too. I go, for what? You look fine. So she filled out the intake form, just like a therapist would, right? And she says, left eye blind. I'm going, so what do you want help on? Blind. But you're blind on the left eye. What am I supposed to do? Try it. In the back of my mind, I go, blind is blind. But she kept insisting. And she was so nice, I couldn't resist. What goes in my mind, I go, I cannot mess this one up. You cannot make a blind eye blinder. You know what I mean? You can't mess it up. So I said, okay, sit down. Let's see what we can do. Well, in pranic healing, the protocol for regenerating delicate organs are colors of green, violet, and gold. Those are the frequencies that help the body. In other words, when the body's regenerating, those are the colors the body produces. We're just replicating it. So I told her, okay, let's give it a try. Close your good eye and open your bad eye. She goes, pitch black, nothing. I said, okay. I didn't expect much, so I just did my thing. In the meantime, talking to someone. I wasn't really serious because I didn't think it would work. After about 15 minutes, okay, close your good eye, open it up, open the bad eye. She goes, well, it's not black anymore. I see gray. I'm going, is she serious?
Oh.
Okay, close your eyes again. So I repeat the whole thing. This time I got more serious because something's happening. And then about 15 minutes, I went like this. Okay, what do you see? Well, instead of gray, I see little dots of light. I'm going, this is real? Make a long story short, in 45 minutes, she closed her good eye. She opened her bad eye. She could see perfectly. And I thought,
Wow.
are you sure you're not peeking like this? And she said, because she's gone. The reason that eye is blind is because most of us, when you get cut, the blood clots at a certain rate to prevent bleeding. Hers clots super fast. So her eye was full of blood clots. So she had to go to UCLA with a laser to break it up. Well, after the 9th laser breaking up of the clots, it damaged the eye so bad she went blind.
Wow.
So after that, I said, we're going to tell your doctor. She goes, I'm going to go to my doctor, open up your book, and read it to him. And that's the reason why we got on TV, because she's the daughter of one of the producers of the Emmy Awards. And that's when I start healing a lot of
Exploded.
these celebrities. Yeah. And the funny part is I didn't even expect it to work. I was just kind of, well, you kept insisting, okay, I'll wave my hand, see what happens. And I'm sharing that with you, doctors, because everyone has that ability. It's just the willingness to help someone is what is important. And I'm sure with what you do, the heart to serve, the heart to help people, it's more important than the technique, because the technique is now just a tool for the person who wants to help someone to be able to be of service.
Absolutely right. Yes, that's amazing. And unfortunately, a lot of people go through surgeries or big, horrible chronic conditions that can be preventable if we do and practice what you're recommending. So we thank you so much for all you do.
Yes.
And can you please share with us? You do teach your method, and how can people learn more about your technique?
Well, before pre-COVID times, we have physical classes. In fact, I've been to Seattle many times and teaching classes there. Um, so now, because in California it's just going to open up, but there's still so many restrictions. For the last year, we've been teaching online, and
Mhm.
what we've been doing a lot of is self-healing and also meditation. Because a lot of people don't realize, if your emotions and your mind is always struggling, the physical body has difficulty healing. So the internet is perfect because in panicking we don't touch anyway. So what we do, we guide them. Okay, do self healing like this. Okay, follow me. Do this meditation. So if they want to, they just go to mastercode.org, and then from there we have free meditations every week. They can join. I do it 6 times a week, and we also have classes. There's a self healing class coming up next week, and tomorrow night we also uh, you know have these free events that people can join, because we want to
Oh,
introduce
very.
people to their own energy.
Oh, that's perfect. That's amazing. Can you please very briefly, because I've heard you talk about the different energies that we have in our body.
I think for your viewers, the easiest way I can explain it for someone maybe not much deep background is as simple as this. If I ask you to move your body right now, move your arm, what would you do? You just move your arm. So if I
Mhm.
ask you what's being moved, you say my arm. If I ask you who moved the arm, you say I did, right? If I say, okay, feel happiness, feel anger, feel this, feel that, what are you doing? You say, I'm feeling this emotion. Okay, what's being felt? The emotion. Who created that feeling? You said, I did. Hmm. So if I say, think of a thought, what are you doing? I'm thinking of a car. All right. Who's the thinker? You said, I am. So who is this mover of the body, creator of the feelings, creator of the thoughts? Because obviously, you could not be that emotion or thought, because before you had that feeling of happiness, you already existed. So there must be some being that created this, who created the movement. Who is this mover of the body, creator of the feelings, creator of the thoughts? Because obviously, you could not be that emotion or thought, because before you had that feeling of happiness, you already existed. So there must be some being that created this, who created the movement. So that I is the soul, the spiritual self. In Reiki, the word Rei in Chinese is Ling, is actually means soul, the spiritual self. And so what
Yes.
Mhm.
happens is, when a person understands that, they go, oh, so if that's the case, I have a body that I move around with. So when I'm talking to you and I feel lots of love for you, I'm actually creating this love in response to what you're doing to me, or I want to share it with you. Or if I have a great idea, I'm thinking of this fantastic idea that I want to share with you. I created that thought and I use my mouth to convey it to you, or I emailed it to you. So if that's the case, if I'm going to emotional pain, even that emotional pain is something I created. So if I created it, I can observe it and don't let it affect me. In fact, I can change it and to create a positive emotion. And for me, that is empowering, because just that realization alone, most people will be free of their anger, pain, and whatever's going in their life. And it gives them the freedom to create what they want. So that's part one. There's part two. The part two is based on pranic healing principles. There are certain energy centers that actually create or generate these thoughts and feelings. So, for example, your solar plexus and your heart are your emotional centers. So, the soft spot below your sternum, when you're angry and upset, you notice you feel it here. When you love someone, you feel it here. Because one creates a negative emotion, one creates a positive emotion. When you're thinking, your thinking is generated by this energy center here. That's why when you're thinking, you go, okay? Now, your throat center is also a center that create thoughts, but two different type. This one is seeing the big picture, strategizing. This one is details. That's why the detailed part of the thinking is what allows you to convey, oh, step one, do this, step two, do that. It also connects to your memory. Now, how does that affect healing? It's as simple as this. If somebody's going through a lot of emotional pain, we already know the heart and the soul plexus are the ones we need to clean and give energy to. If somebody has confusion, they cannot think clearly, or they're going through emotional pain and their mind is disturbed. So we know, we need to work on the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, and the Ajna chakra. So it gives you a pattern to follow rather than saying, just follow me, don't ask questions. I hope
That's
that helps.
great. And that's perfect,
Yes.
because people can start treating their own health by thinking, feeling, and expressing it. And at the same time, I've heard you talk before that you can materialize things if you apply the same steps.
Money, prosperity, abundance, it's all energy. It's just a matter of how you apply it. And I'm sharing this with you because a lot of people don't realize one of the reasons why people who are doing badly financially, doing well financially, a lot of it has to do with the way they think. Because before anything happens in the material world, it goes through a certain process. And I don't know if you want me to talk about it. I can. It's entirely up to you, Dr.
Yes,
Wu.
yes, please.
So, for example, if I'm thinking of getting a new car, just to make it really, really, easy for people to relate. I want a new car. So when I'm thinking of a new car, in this area, if you have somebody who could see energy, there's already a hologram of that thought. Okay? So it's in your so-called mental frequency or mental world. Now, as I think about it, the more I think about it, the more I think about it, I start noticing that not only am I thinking about it, I'm getting a little bit excited. In other words, my emotions are involved. So that means it goes from high frequency of thoughts, and now my emotions are involved, so it's dropping down in frequency. Now I'm feeling it. And not only am I feeling it, I notice that not only do I look at it on the internet and different pictures, I go, yeah, I would look good in that car. If I drive that car, people look like me like this, I'll feel this, I'll feel that. Then before you know it, your emotions are involved. And that's where it triggers the passion. When the passion is triggered, well, your solar plexus is lower now. See, start here, it's going this over here. Now, the physical world is very dense. That's controlled by the energy center at the base of your spine, which is, people call it root center, we call it the basic. So in order for something to materialize, up here has to get down to your butt. So it's going to drop down in frequency. I'm speaking to everyday people language, okay? So
that's why a lot of people, I'm sorry to interrupt, a lot of people
please.
that have financial problems, they have lower back pain. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's the center we treat. So what happens is, if you see the pattern, you have these thoughts, and the more you think about it, you feed energy. That's what you're doing. The more you think about it, you're feeding energy. That's why a lot of people, they say, they think of something, they can think of something, but I'm not giving it energy. You are, because energy follows where you put your attention to. So they think about it, then before you know it, they get emotional about it, and before you know it, they start noticing that they start walking towards the dealer to test drive. So it went from thought to feeling to action. That is the process of how the universe materializes. It starts from subtle to dense. And I like to share that with you because a lot of people don't realize, in order to be happy, to be successful in any part of your life, you have to control this process. If a person just makes, I think Dr. Jin, you asked me that question, is if a person makes affirmations, how come a lot of people make affirmations and New Year's resolutions and nothing happens? It's because that when they make that affirmation, they go, oh yeah, I'm so happy to be successful, blah, blah, blah. So they created this energy in their thought and their emotion. It's only, let's say, 10 units. But the last 20 years, they've been thinking of being broke, angry, upset, all these poverty thoughts. That's like 2 tons. So big fish eat small fish. No matter what affirmation you do, this one will gobble it up. And so it goes
Mhm.
back, Dr. Isabel, to what you're asking earlier, which is detoxing. If you don't clean these things out of your closet, this thing's not going to last. And so one of the fastest way people can do it is through self-cleansing and meditation. So when you're meditating, when you're practicing that stillness allows you to disidentify. When I say disidentify, when you're in stillness, you get to observe. I notice poverty thoughts are coming to the surface. Worry about money is coming to the surface. These thoughts are not me. I created them. They don't serve me anymore. So I want to get rid of them. In fact, what I want to create a happy life for me that's prosperous. So I'm going to focus my energy there. You can't do that if you're not in stillness because you're crowded with all these thoughts and emotions. Same thing with health. If a person is always worried about their health, it's very difficult for them to improve because they're feeding that energy of ill health compared to if they're focusing on good health. I hope that helps a little bit, doctors.
It does. It does. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. Thank you for all this amazing and very clear information.
Yes, so helpful. Just one more. In addition to what you just said, what we have learned from a quantum university, we learned called the downward causation. Downward causation from the bliss, the spiritual energy, into the consciousness, into the mental, into the emotions and vital, and then last is a physical. So all the disease expression, if you don't treat from the top to bottom, it's not going to go from the bottom to up, not upward causation, right? So
Most
this is
people think
all
it's
the
bottom up.
yeah.
Yes.
So top bottom. So brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you for
so
allowing me
much.
to share. I know I talk too much. I apologize.
No,
Oh,
it's great. All this information is amazing and it's going to help a lot of people. Thank you. We appreciate it so much.
yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you. So
My
tomorrow,
pleasure.
tomorrow's program, where can we find it?
Just
So
go
we can
to
share it with.
mastercode.org. We
Okay,
made it
and
super
everything, all
easy.
the events are there?
Yes, you just go there. There are the classes. There's the free meditations. We try to put it there so that it's easier for people to say, okay, I want to do one for meditation, one for psychic protection, for healing. We do it in such a way that, again, it's not required that you have studied a lot. Anybody who is new can learn something. The ones who've studied a lot, we also have more advanced classes that Dr. Jun, you were talking about, the quantum uh, mechanics and the how energy permeates everything. We also have that for the people who are a little more advanced or weird, whichever word you want to say. We appeal to everybody.
Or both?
Or both. Which is funny that I always tell people and say, look, when we are weird and we make it weird all the time, then that's normal.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
True.
As long as you can
And
help people, who cares?
if we surround with weird people, then we are not weird anymore.
yeah.
And it's just different than what people traditionally think. And, without being different, you cannot make a change. Without making a change, you cannot move forward. So we always believe that everybody has something good to offer. It's coming from their perspective. As long as we understand their perspective, I think we can create harmony between your perspective and my perspective if we just see it for what it's worth. Its objective is to be of service to others.
Yes.
Beautifully said. Do you have any social media, Instagram and YouTube channel? I saw your YouTube videos and Facebook. If you wanted to share, yes.
Yeah, Facebook is just Master Stephen Co. And then Instagram is masterco_org. Masterco. You just look for it; it's there, and I'm there.
Yes.
6-7 times a week.
Very good.
We
That's amazing.
spoke of social media. Last year, when the lockdown happened in Southern California, I thought I was going to do a 3-week meditation just to help people. Well, 6 times a week, it's been over a year now because
Wow.
it seems like people need that emotional support.
Mhm.
They cannot go out of the house, and I cannot physically be with them to come to my clinic or whatever. So I just felt that if we can serve them by at least uplifting their spirits through meditation and some spiritual talks, then we're doing our job. So that's why we're all doing things that are trying to help humanity. I think we should work together and really uplift everybody. So please,
I agree.
be of service.
Together, we can impact more
Mhm.
people for sure.
Yes.
Yes. That's our Islamist, our message is all about, to coming together with all the expert and knowledgeable people, whether people have a big name or a small name, because people are all genius everywhere, right? Local healers and practitioner, they need to be recognized and they need to split, into the community. So
And
that's
share it to the world, because
Yeah.
once we transform other lives, we will be transforming our own, because that energy will feel it, right?
You're absolutely right. And thank you for understanding that. And, I completely agree with you.
It's true. And you've been working with Tony Robbins as well, correct?
Yes. That's the only time I travel out of state, because he's in Florida. So his studio is in Florida. So I fly there to do the meditation part of his events. So it's fantastic because, for example, 2 months ago, we guided meditation to over 837,000 people.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's how he told me. He said, yeah, because the year before we had almost 400,000. He goes, this year we'll shoot for 1 million. I'm going, are you serious? Did you say 1 million or 1,000? He goes, 1 million. So he was short, 830. He counted, the screens, the people logged in, 836,000 people meditated with us. It's like,
wow. I bet that experience would have been amazing. Do you feel that energy of all this 800,000 people meditating?
It's just that the energy flowing through me is like being electrocuted.
Yes.
It's like,
Buzzing.
it's a good thing, and it's really it's really an honor because Tony's well known for achievement, right, being successful. Then as I work with him, I realized that he also values the spiritual component.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Dr. Israel, Dr. June, thank you.